Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Viviana and I'm a senior consultant here at Mayan Technologies. Today we're covering a topic that comes up all the time in consulting projects: how to use amortization codes in AR invoices to defer revenue. If your company sells services, subscriptions, support plans, warranties, or basically anything that spans multiple months, then you probably should not recognize all the revenue on the invoice date. Instead, what you'll want to do is you want revenue to be recognized over time. And that's where amortization codes come in. Before we jump into Epicor, let's talk about when amortization is actually needed. Amortization codes are helpful anytime your customers pay upfront, but you earn the revenue over time. Some examples of this could be annual maintenance contracts, multi-month support contracts, warranty extensions, software subscriptions, or service packages delivered over several periods. If we record all revenue the moment the invoice is created, financials can be misleading. Your revenue is going to be overstated in one month and understated in all other months. Then your financial statements wouldn't match operations and your auditors will not be happy. So, amortization codes help Epicor automatically spread revenue over the right periods. Now, let's go into the setup. There are a few main things you must configure. The first one is that you need to create an amortization code. These codes are going to define how revenue is spread out. For example, it could be evenly monthly, over 12 months, and so on. To create a code, you can navigate to Financial Management, Deferred Revenue, Setup, and Amortization Code. Over here, click New, enter a code, a description, select your scope. You can notice that this is the same screen that's used for AP and other modules. We're going to select AR in this case. Select the fiscal calendar, which will be used as the base to generate your schedule, the duration of your code, and the calculation method. It can be equal amounts or a different calculation method. Keep this simple at first, and you can create more specialized codes later. Before we continue, let me show you a really helpful tip. Amortization codes do not automatically default anywhere unless you tell Epicor where to use them. You can manually add the amortization schedule on each AR invoice line, or you can make Epicor default the correct code for you by linking it to things like product groups, customers, customer groups, or even part classes. This step is totally optional, but it saves a ton of clicks and helps ensure consistency. So, now that you have saved this one, let's go ahead and link this to a product group. Let me show you an example of how to set this up using product groups. Again, this is totally optional, but super helpful. We can open product group maintenance. Then we can select the product group that we want to use for revenue for. Let's say services. Under revenue section, you can click the checkbox for deferred revenue. And in the amortization field, you can select the code that we just created. Save. So the impact on where you link this will be, if you link this at the product group level, then it's going to default the amortization and invoice lines that are tied to that product group. If it's at the customer level, it's going to default amortization for invoices billed to that customer. Customer group will work same as customer, just at the group level. But remember that you can still add that manually into your invoice line when you're creating the invoice. So you have flexibility here. If only certain product group types are going to require deferred revenue, then I will recommend you to add these to the product group only. If certain customers always require revenue deferral, add it to the customer record instead. Now, anytime an AR invoice uses this product group, the amortization code will default automatically. So no extra steps, no missed deferrals, and no headaches at month end. All right, now that we covered optional defaults, let's go back to our main workflow And let's walk through how this behaves inside an AR invoice. To defer revenue, Epicor is going to need two accounts: a deferred revenue liability account and a revenue income account. So make sure your GL control is mapped correctly so Epicor can reverse deferred revenue as time passes. Now we're ready to book an invoice and see amortization in action. Let's go to AR invoice entry. And we're going to create a miscellaneous invoice here. Remember that you need to start with a group. Let's maintain our date. And let's click plus for our miscellaneous invoice. We're going to pick our customer. Okay, back to the lines. Let's add one new line over here. Remember, this is a miscellaneous line, so we can enter directly a description. And we can use the product group link to the amortization code. Let's enter a quantity and a price. Let's save. Right after saving the invoice, you can notice that Epicor is asking us to generate an amortization schedule. Let's hit yes. If we open full screen over here, we should be able to see the deferred revenue section for this line. As you can see, because we selected a group that has a deferred revenue amortization code linked, the deferred checkbox is automatically checked, and our deferred revenue code is going to be the one that's linked to this product group. Now that the line is saved and that Epicor has generated our amortization schedule, let's take a look at the amortization tab. Over here, you can see the schedule breakdown. So you can see the monthly revenue amounts, the start and end dates, and the total deferred revenue value. This schedule is going to tell Epicor how revenue will be recognized over the next 12 months. You can change these accordingly. So if you want to partially defer an amount from this line, you can change the percentage or the recognized value. Once you make the changes in here, Epicor will calculate everything for you. Next, we need to post the invoice. Let's print the edit list so we can take a look at the GL accounts. And once that we have the report out, you'll notice that once the invoice posts, the revenue is not going to be immediately recognized. Instead, Epicor is going to book the entire amount to your deferred revenue liability account. So, to recap, at the invoice of posting, your debit's going to go to accounts receivable, your credit to deferred revenue, and each month during recognition, the debit is going to cancel to your deferred revenue account and credit to your actual revenue account. Now that we've created and posted an invoice using our amortization code, we can actually see how Epicor plans to distribute that revenue across future months. So let me show you one of the most helpful tools for validating amortization setups, the Revenue Amortization Forecast Report. Here's the forecast report. This screen is going to allow you to generate a month-by-month revenue recognition schedule before you actually post any revenue recognition. You can filter based on customer, amortization schedule, and you can even include or exclude periods on hold. Let's select a date in the future. Let's print preview. To actually recognize the monthly revenue, you'll need to run the revenue recognition process. In order to do this, go to Financial Management or use your waffle icon so you can look for the revenue recognition menu option. Click on Get Amortizations. You'll see that the invoice that we just posted, it's showing up in here. And we might actually want to make sure that we change the date to a future date. So let's select January 1st. Let's do again our Get Amortizations. You'll see the number of amortizations that are expected during this range. You can even preview the F list so you can take a look at that in a report format. And then you can process the amortization. If you ever need to correct the schedule, for example, let's say you need to put an amortization on hold, you can use the posted invoice update to do that. Let's open posted invoice update. You can see our invoice and navigate to the line. And see the amortization section. Over here, you can also see kind of a current status of what has been posted. This is the one that we just posted before. The ones that are upcoming, you can decide to put any of this on hold. So Epicor will allow you to adjust future recognition periods automatically. Now that you've seen the full workflow, let's go over a few common use cases. Some examples. Remember that you can use these whenever there's annual maintenance contract invoice upfront, prepaid service hours, maybe subscription revenue. These are perfect candidates for amortization schedules. And that's everything you need to know to get started with deferred revenue and amortization codes in Epicor AR. We covered setup, invoices, revenue recognitions, and even updates and some real examples. Plus, I walked you through the full workshop steps so you can follow along in your own environment. If you want more videos like this, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.